All right, welcome to Do or Done See, the only podcast where you can hear all latest in television and entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick. The third one is
Kyle Bridger. I totally forgot my blank to your blank to your blank, so I'm gonna go with I am the Joe DiMaggio to John's John F. Kennedy to Dave's Marilyn Monroe. And we're all linked.
we are. That's a choice. Yes, we will.
Yeah.
We will be talking about the Blonde trailer. That is one of the many things
go-to.
we're going to be doing tonight. We are going to be doing something that has a core trio. That it's in the poster. Nope. You could have done something with Nope. That's our top story tonight.
I got psyched out. I forgot to do this with the new setting. Blame it on that. All right. That's what we're going with.
Yeah, we were off last week with a clip show. We're back here, new setting. It's a new month. We're getting the hang of it. But man, do we have a lot to get through tonight. As we mentioned, Blonde, Nope, and a lot of entertainment news to catch up on in this segment that I can't remember what it is. What is it, John?
in and out points. I don't know why I tried to change the segment header first instead of playing the music first. The segment header changed on time, just the music didn't come in.
Here's what I'm learning. I'm learning that we can't take a vacation, I guess. We all screw up. All right, here we go.
What's our show in 2 weeks? Hang on a sec.
Yeah, all right. Well, our first in and out point tonight deals with a streaming service. The National Football League has entered the streaming wars with its very own streaming service by launching NFL Plus today. It launched today, and NFL Plus will offer access to live, out-of-market preseason games, live local and primetime regular season and postseason games on phone and tablet only, live local and national audio for every game, NFL Network shows on demand, and the NFL Film Archive. All right, Kyle, this is your wheelhouse here. Are you going to be subscribing to NFL Plus?
No, just because I'm not into the NFL like that crazy, but I am intrigued because the way you made it sound is like the Sunday ticket might be going away and then everything's on this. Is that what I'm hearing? Because they have some access to those games?
Some access. This is not my wheelhouse at all. I mean, this sounds good on paper to someone like me, but there is some keywords in there. Maybe that'll change your mind and maybe you can explain it a little bit better. You can't watch live regular season or playoff games on your TV or your computer. Those games are going to be for phone and tablet only. So if you try casting from these devices, those regular season or playoff games, it's not going to work. You must watch those on regular old TV.
Yeah, they want you to pay.
Yeah, because they want you on the broadcast channels watching
whatever,
it that
CBS
way, linearly.
or,
and getting those advertisers. They're just having the mop-up duty of getting everyone else that's, in a plane or on a train or the bus or whatever,
Exactly.
Getting mop-up duty there.
Exactly. So it sounds good, but I don't know if it's like you can't fully use this. It won't fully, those super fans that need the Sunday ticket. I don't know if you could completely go with this if you want those regular primetime local postseason the playoff games. Well, unless you want it on your phone, which I would think no, these people want it on the big screen.
Yeah, well, the only reason I asked is because I think Sunday Ticket is no more, and NFL was shopping those rights around to see who wanted it, and Prime was in the running for that stuff. So I'm not. If this is they're basically just taking it on and streaming it themselves, I don't know. That seems like a good idea for that time of the season. But the NFL Network has a ton of content, and they have even old content of the old NFL film stuff. So this doesn't surprise me. People are really into the NFL. They wouldn't have all that if people wouldn't buy into it. And, they're just a behemoth.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I know NFL Plus, anything like that too. So yeah, I'm going all with you. John, is there anything that you want to add with the NFL Plus? Are you an NFL fan? I'm not even sure.
I'll watch if it's on, but I'm not seeking it out,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It seems obviously they want the network TV. They're not going to be replacing that, and they're going to want to drive people towards that. I'm more wondering like what's going to be available on the mobile tablet, because it sounded like it said local and other things. So like, am I not going to be able to see the Detroit play if they're playing a home game and I'm in New York? Like, are they going to be like geolocating you? Like, I don't know. I'm curious as to how far that will go and what consequences that'll have as far as the viewer experience is. But I also kind of think it's a little dumb to restrict you to tablets. Like I said, I understand they want the network channels to have it, but like, who cares? You're getting your money. Like,
could it be something like the YouTube TV feed where it's like you'll see the same ads for the most part? There's a couple ads that they have to swap out for some reason. They just show like the screensaver. We'll be right back in a minute.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
why, I mean, the technology exists. You're still getting your money either way. I mean, it must be an issue with rights with the network stations, but even then, the money talks. Like, talk to the networks,
Just talk to them.
We've had too long of a time off.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's going to cost you, John. That's going to go into the swear jar. You're not going to have enough money to buy the service. It's $4.99 a month or $39.99 for a year.
That's not bad.
But that's not bad at all. But the other thing is, like, people can still access YouTube TV and those, satellite services via mobile device as well. So they could be watching it that way, not even getting it through the service. But if the service is, it doesn't sound like that much. So that doesn't sound like it would be including the Sunday ticket or whatever. It just so.
And then they have NFL Premium. That is, let's see, it costs $10 a month or $80 for a year. So it's double. The premium version will offer everything in the standard version, as well as full and condensed game replays and all 22 coaches' films, whatever that is. So
I wonder if they're going to go so far as to prevent you from like plugging an HDMI cable into your phone. Like it's not hard to get a USB-C to HDMI adapter. Wait, are they going to prevent that so you can't plug that into your TV? Like, I wonder how crazy they're going to get with all this and how restrictive it's going to be. And I don't know, a little bit weird.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see on that. We'll have to also see the ads and maybe how loud those ads are going to be. If you think the commercials on TV are getting loud, you're not alone. The FCC has received around 1,600 volume-related complaints just this year, a majority of which are actually related to streaming services. Between November 2020 and February 2021, the FCC actually saw complaints rise 140% compared to the same period a year ago. I got this kind of interesting article about streaming service ads and the CALM Act. So there is a law on the books that are supposed to be helping this here.
Yeah, because I remember this being a discussion like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
If I remember. And I remember this whole thing happening, and they actually, and it was for a while, it seemed like the commercials were much lower, and then you feel like you're getting gaslighted because they keep just like steadily rising, and you're like, what is happening here?
Yeah, the CALM Act, which was passed in 2011, it includes like a 72-page tech document that gets way too specific on how things are supposed to sound, but pretty much it requires the average loudness of a commercial. It should be about as loud as the dial norm, which is the average dialogue level of a show. So that's what it should be. It should be that average there. But I don't think it is, because I'm watching these shows. I need subtitles on half of these shows.
Yes.
The closed captioning's on, because I can't read or I can't hear what they're doing because they're always whispering. There's a big plot point. I can't say it out loud.
And then you go from that to summer sub days blaring in your ear.
Quick check Summers. But no, it's just so. Oh my God. And like, I instantly, half the time I go right to the remote and I just hit mute. I just can't do it. It's just so loud.
Yeah. Because it's ear splitting, man. Yeah. It's not just loud. It's just like in your head. It's like they want your brain
Especially with
to
headphones.
absorb it immediately.
Yeah.
Once you put headphones in the mix, it's can approach dangerous levels.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It says average volume. What's to say I can't take something a little bit for a little while and then just
super loud.
huge, crazy, like boom or bang at the end to really enforce the point.
Because it
Then
depends
it's
on
averaging out,
Yeah, I guess it depends on how they consider average. I mean, there are certain weighted averages based on time, so it might be an average over 2 seconds, or you know what I mean? Like, it really depends on how you define average from a audio standpoint.
But also, now that we're talking about ads, the one that always gets me, Mark's Pizzeria. You got to give us
Treat
some
you
pizza,
like
man.
family.
I'm always
Mark's Pizzeria.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it was like 3 seconds, and boom,
And that's all you
it's
need.
done.
We still remember it all these years later. So this act was passed, and actually the FCC actually saw an annual decrease in complaints. All good. But then complaints started going back up a little bit there. You see it fluctuate for a little bit, and already it's projected to be on the higher end this year. And according to the Insider, in 2013, this is what they did. What has the FCC done to stop this from going up? Well, they sent 2 letters to inquire to 2 separate different companies about potential violations. And that's it. That is all the Insider found that the FCC has done. They have not enforced this in any way. And to make matters even worse, there's actually a little clause about streaming, because streaming is not actually covered by this CALM Act. The CALM applies to MVPDs, or multi-channel video programming distributors, which is the legal name for cable providers. So when the Insider asked why can't streaming be added to this, they were pretty much there. It was compared to asking, when will the Federal Aviation Administration crack down on pogo sticks? Because the FCC's subject matter jurisdiction is communication by wire or radio. The FCC doesn't have jurisdiction over devices. So
who has jurisdiction over devices?
Nobody.
Or is it just the Wild West out
It's
there?
Wild West, baby. Yeah.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
It's just insane. So I guess there's no real and if the FCC isn't enforcing anything, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, can we step over the line a little bit? Oh, no one said anything. Let's take another step
more.
over that line. Let's go a little louder, a little more louder. It's like until someone actually is gonna put the hammer down, it's like, well, why can't we? Like,
It wasn't bad last month. It wasn't bad the month before.
yeah.
Advertisers always find a way, though, dude. It's not so much the sound anymore. So even if you mute it, you got like 1,000 million edits coming at you. Like it's Bohemian Rhapsody, But back in the day, like Listerine had a commercial where people were fast forwarding through it.
No free ads, Kyle.
It just had Listerine at the bottom, and it like flashed while the person was fast forwarding. So like even if somebody recorded it, they were still trying to get their ad in there.
And then we saw on the Hulu now, when you pause it on an ad, or on a program, they show an ad on half the screen. So
That's insane,
so
man.
you can't escape it. And it's actually funny because in the article from Morning Brew, they included a quote from the VP of Disney Advertising Business Operations. And he was talking about ads on Hulu, on ESPN Plus, and he said they adhere to CALM Act requirements, and the streamers apply audio normalization when ads are transcoded. And I have to say, that's the biggest load of BS, because I feel like when I had Hulu, they were the worst offenders of this. That's what the whole Quick Check Summer Sub Days segment came about, was because of how loud and annoying that ad is. But man, I don't think they're going away anytime soon. So,
well, not if there's a loophole. They're going to be just as obnoxious.
Yeah. So get used to it. Get used to it. All right, here. Well, we're going to be talking about ads for a different streaming service, and we actually have 3 in and out points all about this specific service. So I think we can go into another segment and talk about what is going on at Netflix.
What the is going on?
What is going on, John? Okay. So Netflix with ads is officially coming. Netflix has partnered with Microsoft on a new ad-supported plan, and Netflix told its employees that this lower-cost ad plan will come by the end of 2022. Microsoft has finalized its acquisition of the Xandr ad tech unit in June, and they're working on some new techniques in video advertising, such as programmatic ad sales that hinge on using data to match ads to precise kinds of audiences, or addressable ads that are sent out to specific viewer segments. So I'm going to just summarize and just say, okay, so it's targeted ads. They're working on this technology there to really just make sure that we're getting the correct ads for us here. Netflix and Microsoft. John, what do you think about this match?
Not great for, I think, the consumer. I mean, between this and another talking point we have for Netflix, they must have the fire under their butts to make some money, man. Holy cow, there's so many changes coming that are not great for the consumer. But targeted ads, while one can argue that it's like, great, I'll be seeing things that are relevant to me, boy, does that not sound great. Like, I don't want machines knowing what I'm doing. I don't want machines knowing what I'm into or what I'm not into or what I might want to buy next week based on predictions. I mean, there was that famous case a while ago about the woman who found out Target knew she was pregnant before she did, with targeted ads and stuff like that. It's crazy. Why does that have to be something that a human has to endure? Like, if you want to advertise something, which again I don't think should be in Netflix if you're paying for it, but if you want to advertise something, just advertise it. Don't try and nitpick and find out who exactly is doing this or that, or I don't know. It just makes me not happy.
No, I hear you. I don't like the data collection. For the most part, there are times though where it's like, oh man, I really need help finding a certain product or something, and it's like, yeah, you guys want to do the work for me and maybe give me some research? Okay, I'll take it. But then, of course, I buy that item, and then for still the next 2 months, I'm seeing, hey, you want to buy these sneakers? It's like, I already bought the sneakers. Like, leave me alone. But yeah, I'm curious about this partnership and what ads are gonna look like on the service. Are they gonna be kind of like some, are we gonna get commercials, pre-roll before a show? Is it gonna be a banner on the Netflix page, pop-ups? Like, what is the kind of ads that we are gonna get from them? Any ideas, Kyle?
I mean, I think they'll do anything to make money. So I think everything is in the works when it comes to this kind of thing. And like John said, this is going to be totally bad for the consumer. And probably, I guess, if you're all the other companies, you're looking at Netflix as they're dumb for taking this long to do it, because all the others have pretty much some kind of ad-supported tier in some way. So I don't know. Maybe it'll help people out. They can get access to content that they want. But I mean, I don't think this helps Netflix in any way to reduce the cost and then have ads. It's just like, I don't know if that's going to make people come back. I don't think that's why a bunch of people left. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
No. And knowing Windows and their history of adding little ads in like the start bar and all that, it's not going to be great. I mean, you're probably going to be scrolling through a queue, and then you know how it used to autoplay like the first episode of things? It's just going to start autoplaying ads. Like that. That doesn't sound appealing at all, to be like flipping through channels and then all of a sudden it's like, it starts blaring at you about buying a sandwich.
Blaring.
Like,
Come on.
Really?
Yeah.
No loophole, just coming at you, baby. Full force.
Yeah, and there's a interesting wrinkle to this because, sponsors are probably going to demand to know how many subscribers saw their commercials and what kind of consumers they are. And, marketers are going to press Netflix to guarantee a certain level of viewing and impressions. And, well, does that mean Netflix is finally going to have to disclose some ratings information to somebody? Because it's like these sponsors and, the advertisers are going to want to know, like, oh, if I'm going to buy an ad on this, if it's a highly rated show, what's the price point for that? Versus, you're not going to get the same ad on Stranger Things than on some show that no one has heard of that premiered and already has been canceled within a week. Like, they're going to have to know some numbers, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, well, this is all in addition to that extra member fee we discussed in the past. It's being rolled out on accounts and being tested in Argentina and the El Salvador and some other countries there. We've already talked about. But they have another one that they're testing out, the extra home fee. In Honduras, we got some terms about this new possible fee that they're testing out. Beginning August 22nd, 2022, if your Netflix account is being used on a TV outside of your home, you'll need to pay an extra $2.99 per month for each extra home. You will only be charged when you or someone who uses your account chooses to add an extra home. This fee will not be automatically charged. However, there's no charge for that under 2 weeks thing, but if it has been more than 2 weeks, well, your TV will be blocked unless you add the extra home. So it's like, yeah, you gotta add the extra home if you want the money, So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
they got you. But
So this fee, I gotta imagine messes with the entire profile thing, because most people that are on a different profile are usually in a different home or on a different IP address. So I don't.
Yeah.
This is just like another fee on top of that, right? I'm not.
And how does this mesh with the existing extra people fee that they were piloting? Is it going to be in instead of or in addition to? Like, are we going to be double
it sounds
dings
like
for having?
additionally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I
going to
think
have
additionally.
another family member in a different household, and now you got to pay $12. You might as well just buy a new subscription. Like, that's
Or
crazy.
you're all going to be using the same profile, I assume, or something.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how this works.
yeah, when I first heard this, I was like, okay, this is gonna like get people who are like, whatever. When I went somewhere on like vacation for the weekend or something, it's like, oh, you got to pay if you want to use it in a different thing, which is absolutely absurd. This sounds like, yeah, if it's just based on your IP or your Wi-Fi address, where it's like, okay, it's been more than 2 weeks, and like, oh, maybe you have a summer home, or maybe you have an extended summer vacation somewhere. It's like, yeah, you got to pay for this, like. Even if it's your profile, like
Maybe
even
you
if it's
have bad
you
reception.
going somewhere else.
Maybe if you have bad reception and use your cell phone in like the treehouse or on your patio. Like, there's so many reasons why you could have multiple IPs. Maybe one computer you have on one line because it's a work computer, and one computer you have on a different line, or one you have a VPN for. Like, there's so many different reasons why you would have computers appearing in different spaces, especially in 2022 when everyone's like working from home and doing all these crazy things on the road everywhere. Like, how are you ever going to police this? A, and B, how is anyone ever going to say, oh, that seems fair? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with this. They are trying anything, as we've talked about the stock when it really took a hit earlier this year and they lost so many subscribers. They are trying anything and everything to get the stocks to go back up and have the shareholders to have confidence in the company. We don't know if this, when the worldwide rollout will be for these extra fees. Netflix has not said whether it will standardize, kind of a single fee, or offer a choice between the extra home and the extra member fee, or create some other option we don't even know about. They're just testing things right now. But it's scary. They're testing things. So
imagine having to pay extra money to be part of a test group for something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Netflix, what are you doing? What are you doing?
But
Sounds like they're double dipping. I hate this. This is not good for any consumers, man.
yeah, changes. Yeah, they're also possibly in some trouble for some changes that they're doing on Stranger Things. Maybe earlier in July there was reports that Netflix has re-edited a scene in Stranger Things. There's in season 1. There's the character Jonathan Byers, who's secretly taken photos of Nancy without her knowledge. And supposedly, people thought he took photos of Nancy as she was undressing, which is actually not what ultimately happened. But they thought they cut this out so he would be like less pervy, because now he's one of our heroes. He's one of our characters that we love. So a lot of people are thinking that it's been a re-edit. But the Stranger Things official Twitter account squashed these rumors by tweeting, PSA, no scenes from previous seasons have been cut or re-edited, and they will never be. All right. Do you trust them, Kyle? Do you think they would ever go back and tinker with their biggest show of all time?
I mean, Well, I mean, maybe. Why not? If something is they're worried about, like looking bad about, maybe. I always thought, like, you stuck by your art. I mean, like, I don't know. It just seems like a silly thing because, yeah, now he's a hero, but we all have flaws.
Yeah.
Like, he did something stupid. Like, what, like, you know what I mean?
But yeah, no, I definitely agree.
It seems
Yeah.
very trivial. Like, it is gross. I'm not dismissing that.
We should also again reiterate: this isn't what happened in the show. Like the fans, like I don't know, some what's the thing with like Shazam and Kazam? Like they thought that this happened.
They thought,
but it didn't happen. Like,
oh my god, this is ridiculous, man.
But anyways, it's just crazy. Like, where would fans get a crazy idea like this that the Duffer Brothers would go back and do such a thing? Where would they get this idea that they would even do this to begin with? Well, back in June, the Duffer Brothers told Variety how they were thinking of George Lucasing a mistake fans found in season 4. In the episode, nobody mentions that the day of the events in the episode, March 22nd, was Will's birthday. Quote, we're thinking his new birthday is going to be May 22nd because May can fit in Winona's mouth in the season 2 scene where Joyce says the date of Will's birthday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Then they also followed up that article that they have George Lucas things in the past and that people don't know about him. So it's like, wait a minute.
So
here.
what are they just did? This isn't what?
So they have been tinkering in the past on things, even though that Twitter account denies they will never change anything. These texts are sacred. We cannot change anything. But our creators have tinkered with and changed some things, and you guys won't know about it. Like,
That's
you guys
insane.
created the monster. That's why people are looking things up, because
Yeah.
you told them.
Yeah,
But
that's wild.
yeah, I have heard this one thing, and this article does confirm it, that the lead editor on season 4 did confirm that video effects shots were still being updated for a few weeks after the release date. So like 3 or 4 weeks after we saw it on television, they went back and have like updated visual effects because I guess during when that premiered, they might have not been fully ready yet. So they have gone back and fixed video edits, and possibly they might, as he said, might be ADRing different other details to fix plot holes, but they are tinkering. They said they wouldn't, but they are.
That's crazy, man. I don't know. I thought you were supposed to have like a date in mind when everything was finished, like what? Is it not in the can anymore?
No.
What the hell happened?
No, it's just, and you think like, obviously these things are going to be played over and over again, months later, but it's like, yeah, what do you want it to be the best maybe in that first week when everybody is watching it?
Or maybe it's just free publicity. They can keep going back, and there's the new Easter egg that the Duffer Brothers created
Yeah, little extra.
with this new edit.
Yeah. I like how
I
like,
want the Duffer 38 cut. Give me the 38th version.
I love how like George Lucasing has become like a term. Like, oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna George Lucas it. Like,
Yeah.
but all right, one last in and out point Netflix story to talk about tonight. Back in January, Netflix praised a songwriting duo with their free online homage to Bridgerton, but Abigail Barlow and Emily Bear may have gone a bit too far. They staged a live concert of their musical, quote, the unofficial Bridgerton musical album live in concert. It was at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Tickets sold out, with some going for up to $149 each. And naturally, with money being involved, Netflix has sued. John, what do you think of this story here? I got some details about the lawsuit, but
I mean, on the surface level, I think it makes sense. If they own the rights to it, how can you charge admission for a version? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's the same thing with like in high school when you're doing shows. You have to buy rights to put on the show. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, again, on the surface level, just from what you've told me so far, I don't think it's great that a corporation's like doing that, but that's the way copyright works, and as far as I know, they're within their rights.
But they threw the unofficial word in there. They said unofficial. Does that not count?
If I do an unofficial version of this podcast, well, I'm on the podcast, so maybe that would.
So I guess it is. You're part owner. Let's see. The legal term here, or the legal description, quote, defendants Abigail Barlow and Emily Bear and their companies Barlow and Bear have taken valuable intellectual property from the Netflix original series Bridgerton to build an international brand for themselves. Bridgerton reflects the creative work and hard-earned success of hundreds of artists and Netflix employees. Netflix owns the exclusive right to create Bridgerton songs, musicals, or any other derivative works based on Bridgerton. Barlow and Bear cannot take that right, made valuable by others' hard work, for themselves without permission. Yet that is exactly what they have done. Kyle, does Netflix have a lawsuit here?
I mean, I think so. I just know that they take this this theater law very, very serious. And I know, like, even high school productions having to put on plays have to go through some kind of process. So I think they do want to keep their intellectual property. And if you don't fight it, then that's also a thing of, like, you're giving up your copyright. And these people obviously made some money, according to Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Made a bunch of money from their copyright without, I guess, by taking scenes from the show. I don't know. I guess so. I think they have a very good case, possibly.
Yeah. And that was before I read in the Deadline article that the live show does feature more than a dozen songs that allegedly copies verbatim dialogue, character traits and expressions, and other elements from the series.
Well, how stupid do they have to be?
Here's the kicker with all this. When I first saw this headline, I'm like, oh, Netflix is picking on some poor off Broadway show or some mom and pop thing here, this fan made. Then I saw that this duo had plans for a tour, including a stop in London, a line of merchandise, and they just won a Grammy.
Wow.
They won a Grammy for this Bridgerton thing. Best musical theater album, the unofficial Bridgerton musical won. So this isn't just like, this mom and pop, little thing on the side that they're doing, maybe just for fun. This is like a giant money-making business.
I mean, I wonder, I bet they settle and they prop it up even more and it becomes legit and they just have to pay a bunch of fees to them from now on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah. It's just because I remember, what was it? Darren Criss. I mean, I remember he made it big with that Harry Potter musical that he created, but I don't believe he made any money off of it. It was kind of just posted online. It was done for the college, maybe it was free tickets or whatever, and then obviously he got success to do other projects off of that. But I don't know, maybe there was merchandise involved. Maybe I could be wrong, but you got to be very careful when you you can't just throw in unofficial. That's what we learned tonight. You just can't write that and call it good. Oh, it's parody. Nope.
Allegedly.
The alleged unofficial Bridgerton. Just change the name of it. It's not Bridgerton. It's and you just change it up a little bit. But all right, that's enough. That's enough news stories this week. We had to catch up from what we missed in the past couple weeks, but we have this trailer that just dropped. So let's discuss it in a segment called Coming Attractions.
Here are some exciting coming attractions.
Okay, Blonde. It's going to drop on Netflix on September 28th. After a traumatic childhood, Norma Jean Mortensen became a famous actress under the name Marilyn Monroe in the 1950s. Her on-screen appearances are in stark contrast to the love issues, exploitation, abuse of power, and drug addiction she faced in her private life. As the trailer says, Marilyn Monroe only exists on the screen. Kyle, thoughts on Blonde, the trailer?
Yeah, it was tense. It had all the elements of a trailer that you would come to expect with a movie like this. So it's definitely intriguing. I got to be honest, I don't know much about Marilyn Monroe, and except for the fact that everyone wanted her, or that's written in every damn thing that was ever written, is everyone wanted Marilyn Monroe. So I'll be interested to see. Granted, who knows? These producers can put whatever in movies, so it'll be an intriguing story.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second.
The only other thing is, I'm thinking like Anna de Armas. Isn't she like thinner framed than how like people portray or like say Marilyn Monroe was?
Maybe.
So I don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, Ana de Armas obviously starring here, and it's
But
hard.
the acting seems fantastic.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
there's points in the trailer where it's like it's hard not to see Ana de Armas because she's just like iconic look herself, and Marilyn Monroe has such an iconic look. But I mean, it was quick, those shots in the trailer. But there was also points where I'm like, oh, I could see it. You know, just the costuming and the makeup. I'm like, okay, I can kind of see it, and the cast is just. You got Adrian Brody, Bobby Cannavale, Julian Nicholson, and even some *Halt and Catch Fire* alums I saw. Toby Huss and Scoot McNairy are in this as well. So there's a huge cast, a lot going on. John, what did you think of the trailer?
Yeah, I enjoyed it from what limited knowledge I have of Marilyn. I kind of really liked that it was in black and white, and it didn't look like crazy clean black and white, but it also wasn't like super dirty, like we're doing a fake film reel kind of thing. So I thought that was nice. It was cut in 3:4, which was interesting. I mean, I guess
I saw some different aspect ratios, and I'm curious.
Did
if
it bounce between them? I think
so. So I think we're going to be going between that and color and black and white in this.
All right. Well, that kind of makes sense if they're going through time. So that's kind of cool. I like when things kind of emulate the period of when it is, and as time progresses, updates it. And yeah. Beyond that, I mean, it looks interesting. I don't know a ton about her, but I mean, it seems like all these kind of biopic kind of things that they've been doing have really been digging into the nitty gritty of people and have been good shows. I mean, looking at the last 4 or 5, I think that we watched, whether it's in movies or on, like Pam and Tommy and all that, they've been pretty good. So hopefully this is another one in that same realm.
Yeah, and what I've been hearing is this won't be a conventional biopic. It's not going to go in chronological order. It's more of an experience, they're saying, and whatever that means. It looks dreamlike. It has some horror vibes. It's all over the place. But the thing I really want to talk about tonight is the film is already getting some controversy even before it's released because it's the only film of 2022 to be rated NC-17. It's first of its kind release for a streaming service to be NC-17 on Netflix here. Supposedly it's for sexual content, and people are worried that it's going to be exploitive. And while it's based on a book, it's supposedly a fictionalized take on her life. That's what the book is. So it's a fictionalized book.
Oh boy.
So this biopic may not be a biopic. And when the director was asked, he said, quote, "It's a demanding movie. If the audience doesn't like it, that's the blank audience's problem. I'm not running for public office. It's an NC-17 movie about Marilyn Monroe. It's kind of what you want, right? I want to go and see the NC-17 version of the Marilyn Monroe story."
Hey.
I don't know. Personally, I don't know if I need the NC-17 version of NC-17 isn't just given lightly to things. Like,
Yeah.
What does going from R to NC-17 gain that it can't do at R? You know what I mean? That's the real question is what gets added that provides value to the story or otherwise by jumping that fence, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. NCTV, yeah, it's a lot in that. And I think you could do a lot of great work within the parameters of an R rating or even a PG-13 rating. Sure. I think, I don't know. But I mean, with this story, obviously, as I mentioned, at least, there's stuff with love and drug addiction. So it's like, okay, probably got to have the R rating, but NC-17. Is it
got to be some kind of abuse or something?
Maybe, but yeah. So it's just, it's already picking up some controversy just because of the rating being based on a fictionalized book. So I'd be really interested to see, like, when it does come out, what Marilyn Monroe fans are going to think of it.
Because it's just like, is there just so much nudity? Because nudity is like R, but it's got to be like
explicit.
And in an R,
yeah.
I mean, you can get away with a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we're either seeing like full-blown penetration here or some kind of abuse. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect with this. It's been in the works for a while. I think it was even supposed to come out last year, and it got pushed. I think there's been a lot of back and forth within Netflix and the director of like, hey, can we like do a different cut of this here?
Not the NC-17, yeah.
But
The thing is like NC-17 on a like.
well, because it was rated, I think, by the MPA, because Netflix does that thing where it does go to theaters for a few weeks to qualify for awards.
Yeah.
They do like that 2-week preview in
with
theaters.
with the streaming, you could probably get away with it if you didn't have to go to the theater. But I mean, even still, on the streaming services, it doesn't seem as bad. But you go into the theater and you see like NC like that just like posted there. It makes it seem like much, much worse. But I mean, TVMA, you could get away with a lot on TVMA, and that's like 17 plus, I think. So, I don't know.
Are there any movies that are rated NC-17 that have received awards in like award shows?
Well, they've been done by like popular directors. I think Lars Van Trier has one for Nymphomaniac.
Yeah,
right?
but I don't know if those movies have really.
People submit
Like,
those movies to like the Oscars and stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't
like,
think they usually make the Oscar list here. I'm trying to think of. I mean, these are just NC-17 movies I typed into Google here. Blue is the Warmest Color. I remember that getting some awards attention. But then the next one right next to it was Showgirls, and that got some Razzie attention.
Yeah.
So, so
I don't think Razzies count for this award.
yeah. So I don't think there's a lot of NC-17 movies at the Oscars. I'll see if there's anything that come up with that.
Maybe
I
if
gotta
they
say
didn't put it
no,
in theaters,
probably not.
they wouldn't have the rating and they wouldn't have the controversy. You know what I mean? Or do they want the controversy to get the word out that, hey, we got this big thing coming, like.
I believe the only thing that was close was Midnight Cowboy back in the 60s, won Best Picture, Director, and Screenplay. But it was rated X. That was before the NC-17 change. So that's the only one I'm seeing here as an awards example. But all right, well, that is Blonde, coming out in September on Netflix. We have another movie to talk about. This one we have all seen in theaters, and that is Nope. In order to talk about it, we have to go back, so guys, send us back.
We're back, baby.
Gotta get back in time.
All right, Nope. It's Jordan Peele's third directorial feature, and it stars Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, and Stephen Yeun as residents of a gulch in inland California that bear witness to a very chilling discovery. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about Nope. We're going to break it all down as much as we can if we could figure out what happened. We got a lot to say. I saw it with Kyle, so I already have his thoughts on it. I want to hear John first. What did you think of Nope?
It had some very beautiful shots, great cinematography. Yes, like most people, I got some of the themes. I think I got some of the more overarching themes, but yeah, what is it about? Is it about aliens? Well, sort of. Is it about like animals being used in film? Well, sort of. Is it about like what things do when you observe them? Sort of. Is it about people like not learning from their mistakes? Well, sort of, but what is it about? Like
D, all of the above.
Yeah, it's kind of feels like it was trying to grab a little bit and piece from several different themes and kind of make it into a new conglomerate, and I don't know if it did that. I mean, I enjoyed watching it. I just kind of left with a lot more questions, and I kind of wish they had chosen something to focus on. I think if they had chosen a little bit more of the sci-fi to focus on, we'd have a little bit of a different movie, but maybe I would have gotten it a bit more. Or if we had chosen to focus more on the animals and how they're treated and how they're treated on film, it would be a different movie, but maybe I would have gotten it a bit more. But it feels like we kind of shot in the middle of all these and missed them all to a degree, So
I guess like to maybe summarize for you, like they didn't dive deep into like one thing to fully get there. They kind of like had a sampling, a little appetizer from each thing here.
Is a choice, and maybe it made a bit more sense to some people than others. I mean, like I said, I kind of got some of the themes they were going for, but it didn't feel like this isn't a, animal abuse or animal on film story. It's not an alien story. It's a what story, so I don't know. Again, I enjoyed it, but I kind of
Is it about aliens? Nope. Is it about animals? Nope. Kyle, what did you think of it, and what is it about for you?
Well, I thought it was, and I agree with everything John just said, except I thought it was just all the one overarching theme was straightforward for me, and I went into this with such high expectations that it just felt so straightforward to me in what it was trying to tell me that I was like looking for these other things. And I know that's a theme in the movie itself, like that we suck everything up and then we just chew it up and spit it out.
Watching it, yeah.
So I understand all that, but I will say it's probably my own fault because my expectations or what I expected was so high that I was kind of let down. Even though great shots in it, it was tense, the edge of your seat a lot of the time. And it did have these great themes.
Wait, what was
I just didn't love it, and I like it, but just I didn't love it.
What was the theme for you? I don't know if I caught it.
It's like that we just consume so much like media or even digital media. We just chew it up, whether it's good or bad. We just need to suck it all up, and then we're gonna just spit it back out, and
it's gonna rain down onto a house.
I can see that. I can see that.
And then I think what he was trying to say with like the monkey thing, the monkey the story and all that was that minorities have been the primary examples of just this happening. Like it generally happens to them first before it'll happen to everyone else, if that makes sense.
I can totally see that, and I don't think that was super clear. Maybe that's just me and my frame of reference that I didn't grab that, but now that you say that, I can kind of see it.
Because I mean, I think of it this way, like they're talking about the Scorpion King. The Scorpion King, when it came on camera, it got a laugh, and I think that's the point. Is like to like people's lives. To some people, if they're not working on the Scorpion King, if they don't have horses that can make it into the Scorpion King, they lose their livelihood. But it's a joke to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying, and I will say just up front, I like the film. It's a good film. But I also had the high expectations that Kyle, said, and I feel like I've seen people across the internet interpret this film many different ways, including that this is like Jordan Peele's own personal story and journey with the art of spectacle, and it's like we are the spectators looking to be blown away again and again. It's like, give us another one, Jordan. Like, here we go, do it again. And so I almost understand that this is like what I'm about to say is like my own like ironic issue with everything. Like maybe I'm at fault here for overthinking this and overthinking his films. But like, I have the hardest time, at least at the beginning of this film, fully getting into it, because as the movie starts, I'm ready to dissect and overanalyze every frame and line, because I think that this is going to pay off later on in the film. Like, does the time period matter? Why is the shoe standing up? Is that going to connect at the end? Like, and it's like, it's hard for a certain point. Like, I just got to turn the brain off, but also keep it on, because there's such important themes that they're being discussed. You know what I mean? It's so hard.
So he made the movie simple so that it didn't have that, or so complex that you couldn't find it? Or do we not know? Or I don't know, man.
But it's like, people on the internet are constantly, over-analyzing or under-analyzing, and the title is like, is the title actually Nope, or is it not of planet Earth, or is it like, oh, what's a bad miracle? Is that a bad miracle? Nope, like that was a line in the movie, like, so it's like, what does that even mean? And I saw this one thing. I think it was like an interview with Jordan Peele, and they were talking about stuff like in Get Out, and even sometimes audience just go too far down these rabbit holes. And like there was the whole thing of Allison Williams' character in Get Out, like when she's eating the Fruit Loops and they're separated, the colored Fruit Loops and the white milk are separated, and that means, and then and Jordan's just like, no, I just thought it was weird, like that's why I did it, like that was just a weird thing. But I will say, yeah, this film is, I think, more straightforward than the other two films. It's certainly more sci-fi than scary of the other two films, at least for me. I mean, the scariest moment was like was a prank. Was the with the kids in the alien mask running through the stables. Like that was, I thought, I'm like, oh my god, stuff's about to go down here. And it's like, no, it's actually, it's just gotcha. So it wasn't that. And then it becomes this kind of more sci-fi story than a classic horror film that we've come to expect from Jordan. For me, when I was watching, I was just confused at points with like logistics. Maybe I'm just too in the weeds with stuff. Like, and also, I will just say, I blame Alamo Drafthouse a little bit because they were late with my order and I constantly had to keep going and checking on it and stuff. But that's a whole other thing. But like, even like when the spacecraft, when the monster, the alien was flying over, like the power would go in and out. And I felt like it would go out and sometimes come back on, and then it would go out again, and then it would attack. And I feel like there wasn't like consistency, like with like actually like the timing of like how this is, like the warning signs of it coming. And there was a moment, like I loved the slowed down, like I wear my sunglasses at night, and it was so creepy and cool. But then there's also points like, wait, why is it slowed down here? Because the power is now fully back on. Like it should just be on. Yep. But this is just being cool for the movie. Like, so it's like, there's like little things like that where it's like, you know, I get too far down the weeds of certain
on top of that, when it initially came in before it was being affected, it was a faster version than the actual version. Like I noticed that right away. It started like faster, so they had more room to slow. And it's like, whoa, that's, from knowing that song, it felt kind of weird. But yeah, I think my other biggest issue, I'm kind of jumping back a little bit, is I think it was cut a little longer than it needed to be. I really liked the shots of the sky.
It is his longest film, I believe, of the three.
I liked a lot of the shots of the sky, but it also added a lot of time to the movie. And I think there's a lot of stuff where it could have lost a second or two and maybe been a bit more concise.
I can hear you with that. And I feel like, speaking of seeing the spaceship, or the alien, I should say, in the sky, it was like at the end, I was like an idiot, like when I was watching, because I thought at the point when the tech guy was in barbed wire and get pulled up in there for a second, the look of the alien changed. It became more of this like angelic, like flowing thing. I'm like, oh, maybe it got hurt and got ripped up a bit because of the barbed wire. But then at the end, it goes back into this form. It's like, oh, okay, then maybe not. I guess it was just doing something cool.
To be different.
So So I was just like, there was like little things like that where, again, maybe it'll be better on a rewatch. But like when I was watching it, and again, to go back to my first point of like constantly trying to figure out, wait, what's that mean? Is that important because of that? Does this connect at all? Like, it's just, sometimes it's like exhausting, and I just have to remind myself, okay, it's a movie. Just let the movie take you. Stop trying to figure out the movie before it ends.
Yeah. And I mean, this would be good on a second watch, because I think all of his movies are better on a second watch. You can get more of what he's going for. You can pick up things that you missed initially, even with the storyline. So, I would be willing to watch it again. I think it's an interesting movie. Just caught up in my own expectations of it.
Yeah. But I'll agree with you guys again. Like, some very impressive camera work. I mean, some shots are definitely going to stay with me for a bit. Like, there was like the rodeo audience being lifted up, and it was like this wide shot of just seeing them all like go up. Was like, that was really cool. I mean, the cast was very good. I mean, I love our core four, but especially the trio. You got like the low key like Daniel Kaluuya performance versus the high energy Keke Palmer performance. Like the sibling relationship between the two that really played off well against each other.
It's crazy with that. When you remember he's British too. He's doing like this like deep Southern almost style accent.
Yeah, and then he was like in the car at one point, and he just like locks it, and it's like while the aliens overhead. It's like little like comedic bits like that, in the horror film. Yeah. And then I love Steven Yeun, and he's especially as this like snake oil salesman, theme park show owner guy. that does add to like one confusion I had with it. And I think you were explaining it a little bit to me, Kyle. In the moment when I was watching the film, he has this show and he uses the horses to like kind of get the alien, to come out as bait. And when we see the show, the only time we see it, was this the first time he's done this, or was it he's done this before and he knew about this alien thing all along, and this was just the one time the alien spaceship like fought back? Or
No, yeah. So I think that he has done this before, because I remember he bought one of their horses before, and this was later on in the process where he offered to buy up the entire ranch, because I think he wanted to train this spaceship and he thought he could contain it. And this goes back to, I think, one of the themes of, with minorities, you think that you can tame this industry, but it will suck you dry, and you're never going to tame it. It will take you whole before you'll tame it, kind of thing. And I think that
it goes
relates
back
to
to
that.
the on the sitcom with the monkey co-star of like, he was the lone survivor. He thought he could, train and tame any beast. But yeah, I was just like confused in the moment, because like just like the way the look on his face is like, oh, it came early, and like, and then it really obviously caused a lot of chaos. I'm like, so were the other times like when he did this horse trick? It worked out fine. Like, it did its thing.
But this was the first time he was trying it in front of a huge group. That was the difference, because he invited Daniel Kaluuya's character.
I might have missed a line or something in there.
He invited Daniel Kaluuya's character out to the family night. We're gonna have an awesome gathering, and so I think he'd done it alone on his own. Now the ship sees 60 other people and is going, what the heck? And they're all looking up at it. Yeah. And remember, you're not supposed to make eye contact. So. Yeah, so he couldn't tame it when it got to be bigger than it was, which I guess could go back to being any pop star. You're singing at your local coffee shop, and next thing you know, you blow up and you can't contain it anymore, and you're getting sucked whole,
I'm just going to blame Alamo on this one. If you just got my buffalo chicken pizza a little bit earlier, I would have been able to fully follow this going here. But I did see in like a Hollywood Reporter article that Jesse Plemons was actually initially cast in this film. And the article was like, oh, like maybe in Steven Yeun's part, like, which is very interesting. I think it's a whole different movie. Like, I think it's because like, I don't know what other part Jesse Plemons would have been in. Like,
yeah.
So it's interesting. It would have been a completely different thing, but he was busy with Killers of the Flower Moon instead, so he did that film. But
yeah, I could see him in Steven Yeun's character, but I like Steven Yeun.
Oh, I love him in this. So yeah, it's just a completely different, I think, performance and character if Jesse was involved instead of.
You could put him as the
tech guy,
and it becomes a totally different vibe.
Or that cinematographer. What a bad cinematographer, I will say. Because you're there for one reason, dude, and it's to get this thing on camera, and you're rolling your thing. You're constantly recording. And then the one moment it's there, it's like, oh, I got to reload. Hang on.
Yeah.
Not only that.
It's like, no, dude, this is the point.
But like,
you're supposed to do it.
You made this camera system. Make a second cartridge.
Yeah.
Swap cartridges and then reload the second cartridge while the first one's rolling. Like, I mean, I don't know. It just seemed lame, and then his greed got the better of him. He got sucked up. It looked like the other tapes got destroyed. So not only does the camera he was holding is gone, but the tapes he had previously recorded looked like they got trashed. And it's just like, it was all for nothing. What were you doing? Like, dumb. It goes into the greed theme,
Yeah. Well, that's Nope. I'd still say, even though I feel like we're more mixed compared to his other films, I still think we all really enjoyed it. And would probably recommend it.
Recommend it. Go see it.
Yes, definitely. All right. We have one last thing to talk about real quick here. I'm going to throw it in at the very last minute because our last real live show, we did our TV draft. We did, in episode 392, we held our second streaming service draft, and we drafted TV shows from the 2000s, and we will leave it up to the listeners to see which host made a service that they would subscribe to. I'll read off the nominees real quick. And let's see here. So my streaming service, I had Breaking Bad, Always Sunny, Survivor, Arrested Development, and Lost. For John, we have Band of Brothers, The Office, Kitchen Nightmares, Scrubs, and Dexter. And then for Kyle, Mad Men, Parks and Rec, Jackass, Friday Night Lights, and Chappelle's Show. Those were all in different categories: drama, comedy, reality, or animation, network hit, and wild card. So those were the services, and we have the results. We did it on Instagram and on Twitter. Let's start off with Instagram. The poll was up for 24 hours on Instagram, and it was close between John and I.
Oh, come on, man.
Sorry, Kyle.
Come on.
56 to 44% on Instagram. I'm leading just barely there, John.
How many
on
total
Instagram.
votes do you know?
Not in front of me.
No.
I didn't save that, but 56 to 44%. But don't worry, we got to add in Twitter, and that poll was up for 5 days on Twitter. You can go a little bit longer on Twitter. So I combined the two. So I'm going to show you the final results between Instagram and Twitter.
Please tell me I got some kind of vote.
I cannot.
Oh my God.
I got a bigger lead. That's what I got. I got 62% to John's 38%. Sorry, Kyle. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you vote in this? I even threw a vote to myself in this. I think John did too.
I voted on Instagram. I didn't vote on Twitter.
I thought that was against the rules.
No, you could at least have thrown one vote your way. But yeah, so those are the results on that. I won the 2000 streaming service draft, but Kyle, you won the one for the 90s. Okay, so you got to win for the 90s draft.
No one vote. This is ridiculous. The only thing, can we go back to the original?
Yeah.
The original.
Give me
The
one
list.
second. Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so. No, you're good. I just want to see if, just because I don't think my list is that much worse than yours.
No, I think you have a great list.
I think your thing is Breaking
Boom.
Bad,
Yeah.
and John's is The Office.
I think it is. But here's the thing, Kyle. That's the draft. That's the game. Like, you had the first pick in drama. You went with your heart. You went with your show. I went with my show, but also the crowd pick. And maybe I just mixed it well. Maybe
gosh.
they said, "Oh, he has Lost in there," or maybe there's some fans of Dexter out there in the universe for John. I don't know, but
Maybe.
but
Tell me there aren't Jackass fans out there.
I don't know. But so that's
Damn.
that. John, I wouldn't worry too much because there's always the 2010 draft
Yeah.
at some point, and I'm gonna. The box office draft is looking pretty good for you. So
Yeah.
we'll get to that later on in September. But that's all we got for this week. Next week, we got 2 HBO shows we're going to be talking about. We got Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal, and then the return of Industry. Season 2 is finally here. We're going to talk about the premiere, which is going to drop tonight. If you need a refresher on season 1, we got you covered. Last week for our show, we released a clip show of all of our coverage of Industry season 1, episode by episode, so you can get caught up. You could even watch the show and hear the recaps as we are going through the episode, so you can kind of watch it along with us. So that's all there, and you can find all these episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the blog, DoRedundancy.com, and Twitch. We're live Monday nights on Twitch, twitch.tv/DoRedundancy. A lot coming up in August. I mean, we got the House of the Dragon premiere. We got the Better Call Saul finale. Lots of Emmys. There's going to be lots of stuff with Emmys. We got predictions. We got a clip show of some of our discussions on Emmy nominees. So much to come in August. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, on Instagram @DoRedundancy. And I got to thank both of you guys for joining me tonight. A lot we covered. We covered so much tonight. Kyle, always with the hot takes. John, for directing the show, putting it up on Twitch, on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Yep.
All right. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm Trevor.
I'm Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for Do or Duncy. Goodbye, everybody.